Hello, hello. I hope you are all doing very, very well. This episode is going to be a little bit different from usual, a bit more raw, a bit more personal. I say a bit, probably a lot. And I imagine many of the future episodes are going to be a little bit more raw, actually, based on feedback, which I always like, always stings, but always like. Fair warning for anybody who doesn't want to hear about health issues or anything like that, either because that's just not their thing, or you're going through a sensitive time at the moment and you just don't want to hear that kind of stuff for whatever reason, you can skip this episode and then come back for the next one, right? This is the Sales Ops Effect, where we strengthen our skills as strategic leaders to grow businesses with integrity. So this episode is about unexpected things happening and my experience with dealing with them, because, you know, we're closing out at the end of the year. It's November 2023. At time of recording, it's the 18th of November. And it's been a very eventful year for me. But this episode is specifically about some things that went down recently. For those of you who don't know, I'm neurodivergent. I have ADHD and autism. And in October was ADHD Awareness Month, which was, you know, very timely. But we had a global shortage of ADHD medication, and my medication that I usually have just wasn't available. So they had to put me on a different one, which did not work out well for me. So, you know, it's, you know, strike one, the shock of if you don't have your meds, what happens? Because I've been managing my ADHD for a very, very long time. And I only just got officially recognized in August and started the meds that work. So it's like, why can't I go back to the original stuff? There's a big gap, different conversation. So they put me on, so that was scary anyway. They put me on a different meds. The meds did not work well for me at all. I experienced something called tachycardia, which is when your heart is racing effectively all the time. So I had that for about 3 weeks. Lots of reasons why. There was hospital visits, all kinds of stuff. But obviously, this whole time, I was still working. I work with a company for many, many hours per week, as well as I run my own company. Obviously, that's how you know me, because I train sales operations professionals on how to develop themselves and their businesses in a way that's sustainable and works out for everybody and makes some money, right? So I was still working. How are you going to deal with this? So luckily for me, the company that I work with in the daytime are very, very human. Very human. So I'm in a position where I could explain what was going on, because it's like, do I go on sick leave? Do I keep working through it? And to be honest, I didn't want to go on sick leave, because it was just too much to just not be able to do anything all day long. And yes, I could have worked on my stuff, but I enjoy my job. I enjoy what I do in the day, being head of sales ops. I enjoy being a sales ops trainer. And with enjoyment comes excitement. Any little thing that I did that I had any kind of emotion about that wasn't just really steady and calm, all hell would break loose. I couldn't exercise. I couldn't go for a walk without having to be on the phone to someone. I couldn't even listen to fast-paced music. It was quite traumatizing. And so, but like I say, that's 3 weeks. I'm back on my original meds now. Not the strength that I need, but at least it's the original meds that aren't causing other problems. But as a result of that, I then decided to look into my health more deeply and got like a full panel blood test done privately. Because I was feeling really tired, and I like more tired every single day. And you'd think, well, you've just been through a very big scare. That's why, which is what I thought, but it just got worse every single day. And it turns out from my blood test that I have an uncommon type of anemia, which I had been treating without realizing it through the supplements that I was taking before I started the ADHD medication back at the beginning of September. And so with that time, September and October, what little there was in my system that was keeping it afloat had entirely run out at the same time. So 3 different health scares. Not the right medication. The wrong medication was causing me really threatening problems. And then deep fatigue, which takes, generally anemia takes between like 2 and 6 months to recover from, right? So why am I mentioning all this? Because I'm a person, and you're a person too. And because of the society that we live in, generally speaking, most people who are watching this on YouTube or listening to this on Spotify or whatever your podcast channel of choice is, our worlds are designed to make work seem like as if that should be the most important thing in our lives. What we produce should be the priority, and you should put yourself in last place. Pretty much, you should always push. You can ignore that. It'll get better on its own. And that's just not true. I've had so many experiences to tell me that's just not true, because if you're not okay, you can't do the work. If you're not okay, you can't do the work well. You can't do the work with quality. And that's what we're here for, about delivering quality results, not just flash in the pan kind of things, right? And so I'm explaining all of that to say, like, there's a lot going on in the world at the moment. It's completely separate from what's happening in people's personal lives. And clearly some people's personal lives are deeply involved in the pain that's happening in the world. But I am acknowledging that there can be so much going on that you almost want to numb yourself to it. And for your own personal reasons, you do whatever gets you through. But I want to say, as someone who is your trainer in sales ops, the salespeople aren't going to die if you're not there for a day or for a week. If you set up your systems properly enough, they will live. They will get by. And that's the point. You don't want to be doing this role, which already is several roles in one. It's practically a department, let's face it. You don't want to set up your role in a way that means you can't ever leave. From day one, you want to set up what you're doing so that if you're not there, people know what to do. I'm including, training recordings, not just live training, lots of training recordings in tiny little snippets, very, very clearly named, easily accessible at all times of the day or night. If you're writing things up as well, which I would recommend, but obviously it takes longer, make sure those things are fully accessible. If you put your out of office on, put those links in your out of office. I cannot tell you the amount of times people have said to me, I came to you for this thing, and then I got your out of office and you answered my question. Like this dashboard, these important reports, etc., etc. Your glossary with your what things mean. Make sure those things are available, and make sure if you do need to take time away, that where you can, giving whoever is going to be responsible for things while you're not there, a handover of like the 5 main bullet points. These were the things that were supposed to be produced this week, and they're not going to get done. And so this is what could happen as a result of that, So not just this is what's going to happen, or this is what is not going to happen, but what happens as a result of you not being there for whatever activity. So they know, they can figure out how to plan around you. And obviously I'm saying all of this based on you working in a company that is humane. My company knows I'm neurodivergent. I literally did a talk about ADHD for that company. So they know, and they're very, very good about it. And I'm very thankful. But not everybody is in a good company. I haven't always worked in good companies. I've worked in some terrible companies. The worst manager that I've ever had was somebody who was also neurodivergent and also happened to be an absolute punk of a person. You can be in different circumstances. If you are in a place that is not safe in any way, shape or form, and you can't figure out your way how to leave that place, you're not going to be in a position where you can be as open. So clearly, this is not for you. And I feel for you, because I've also been in that position. But for those of us who are in a position where our environments, they may not be perfect, because there is no perfect environment, but they're definitely not unsafe, I would encourage you to be open with your manager or with HR about what's going on with you right now. If you need to write it down first into separate bullet points, even separating it about how it's affecting your work, write it down. If you are concerned about telling your HR rep that your work is being affected by how you are right now, you're probably not in a safe environment. Like, if you genuinely think that they're going to hold it against you and try and fire you, because lots of stuff is happening right now, I completely understand it. But then that's your key to know that you're not in a safe environment. And it's worth, even if you can't leave it right now, preparing your CV, your resume, just preparing for your own peace of mind. But if you are experiencing difficulties and you need the time, please don't keep it to yourself. And yes, I know sometimes things are so stressful, you're thinking, if I go away for a little while and I come back, it's just going to be a mountain of things that are worse. Then do you know what? Explain that to your HR rep as well. Explain that to your boss as well. Because ideally, if they've got any measure of humanity, they will note that, be aware of that, and, try to figure out ways to minimize the flood that comes in when you come back. Or the expectations when you come back won't be for you to be at 100%. It would be a gradual ramp up, for example. So all of this to say, I'm a human, you're a human too. All because we're at work, that doesn't mean our humanity is paused for those 8 hours. Work is supposed to be a part of your life. There's no such thing as the real, distinct, separate work-life balance. You don't stop being a human when you're at work. Work is something that you spend a part of your life on. And that's why we do really, really, really need to make sure we, as much as we can, design our lives, design how our work goes, understand what we find acceptable or not, because we spend so much time doing work. That's why you want to be in something that you really enjoy. So I hope you are all well. If you are under the weather for any reason, then I very much hope you get better soon. And I just wanted to reach out to you to recognize your personhood. Yes, we're professionals, but professionals are people being professional, doing professional things. It's not a separate entity. And that's okay. So I hope you enjoyed this. If you have any comments, please let me know wherever you found it, and I'll be speaking to you very soon.